Now then, it's a long time since I've done one of these, isn't it? Bloody hell. A very long time. And I know I always start these by saying that because I tend to do them sporadically, don't I? I ain't done one for ages. So much so that I'm even awkward about looking at myself on this camera. Let's put it down somewhere there. But yeah, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone's well. As you probably heard in the podcast, I've had COVID. Brilliant. Hold on, let me just put some aircon on in this car. It's not even my car. Ah! That's too much. It's too much. Oh, I don't even know if you can hear me now. My God. There we go. Calm down. I'm not in my car, I'm in our lass's car. I don't know how to work that stuff. What was I saying? Yeah, I've had COVID, haven't I, recently, which I don't know if for those of you that don't listen to the podcast, why aren't you listening to the podcast? But yeah, you won't have known that. Not that it's I suppose that significant. Although, like many people, I was quite nervous of getting it myself. Do you know what I mean? Not knowing what it's going to do and stuff like that. But so I'm quite pleased I've got that out of the way, to be honest. Especially so close to the gig. Do you know what I mean? At least, what is it they say, that you've got 12 weeks worth of relative immunity, is it? I don't know. Still won't be taking any chances though, but I'm just down the road from Temple Newsham, actually. Temple Newsham is just about 2 miles that way. It's bloody close now, isn't it? Jeez. It is really close. So yeah, what's the point of this video? It's a bit of an update, really. It's kind of what I do with these, isn't it? Sorry, my eyes are stinging all of a sudden. Yeah, there's not long at all to go till these gigs. We were supposed to be practicing last weekend, but obviously I had COVID, so we couldn't. So that's another practice gone, which is no good for my nerves, I have to say. But we'll manage. I mean, we have always done this. You know, talking the music now. We have always done the same. We are terrible. Honestly, we are terrible in terms of how we go about practicing and stuff and rehearsals. Oh, don't say I've got something in my eye now. Yeah, we're not the most productive, shall we say. We're not the most productive of practicing bands. We tend to go down and play a few songs, do you know what I mean? But we're not very... Oh man, what's going on? We're not very regimented with it. So, but like I said, we've always been the same. It's like, oh, we've got a big tour coming up, we should practice. How long is it till go? Oh, a week. Oh, we best do some practicing. But to be fair to us, you know, past experience, we usually pull it off. So it's a quick vape. You have to excuse me if I'm fiddling with my eye because it's just gone nuts, which is absolutely typical when you decide to try and do something like this. I got my McCoffee as well, Pete Fletcher. Eat your heart out, my friend. No wrong with McCoffee at all. Absolutely no wrong with it. Yeah, so I mean, at the moment, obviously, it's been a bit more sort of the music focused in terms of what I've been doing. Mental preparation for these gigs. It's daft, really, because obviously it's 2 shows. Do you know what I mean? It's not... I mean, it shouldn't really be that big a deal, but obviously from where we've come from, having not played for so long, even 2 shows takes a hell of a lot of work to get back up to where we were. Do you know what I mean? And then trying to take into account different things we might do or whatever, all that becomes really difficult when you don't have enough rehearsal time. But yeah, there's been some really cool things happening on that front. We've just got all the lighting designs through, which look absolutely amazing. Although I do have my own sort of questions about that, really, because we're on, you know, Temple Newsham. We're going to be on at, like, I don't know, 8, half 8, latest, maybe 9, the absolute latest, but I don't think we'll be on at 9. I think it'd be earlier than that. And of course, it don't get dark. It's bloody June 2nd, isn't it? So it ain't going to be dark while, what, 10:30? It'll be thinking about getting dark, getting dusky about 10:30. So that's going to be interesting, but whatever. So yeah, we've got the lights sorted. I mean, even things like crew. Do you know what I mean? Even things like backline crew, tour managers, sound engineers, lighting engineers, all these things that you have to put in place for a gig. It's kind of difficult for us because obviously we're still coming out of COVID, and everyone who sort of works in that, area, so to speak, they've all had 2 years with no work, and everyone's trying to get themselves back on the feet. Do you know what I mean? So it can be difficult to tie people down, and we've kind of had some people in place, but they've been offered, longer work. It's kind of how it all works. You know what I mean? Where if we're offering sort of 2 shows and someone gets offered like months and months and months of touring, they're gonna go for the more work, really. So that's something that we're contending with, but we're getting around that. Merch as well. We're just getting all the merch sorted, t-shirts, designs, and that. So yeah, that's all really. That's all good. That's all good as long as we can get our last practices in to sort all that out. Sorry, I don't know if I'm covering up the microphone here. Should be all right. So yeah. So what else apart from that then? Oh yeah. Well, my record, obviously, which I haven't spoke about for a while. I didn't see a point of just making loads of videos, just going, oh, it's coming. Do you know what I mean? I got to a point with it because it's kind of getting caught between how I view the record and what I view it as, and then kind of, obviously I've got people working with me and stuff, manager and other people with opinions, a creative director as well, other people with opinions. So there was kind of a period where it was all recorded and stuff, but I kind of in my own mind got a little bit, not confused, but I wanted to pinpoint exactly where its identity was, and that sounds a bit vague really, but once it's all announced and that sort of stuff should be a bit more clearer. But yeah, so there was a little period where I was sort of umming and ahhing about a few things before going into mastering. Do you know what I mean? Because once you sort of get it mastered and everything, then that's kind of sorted. But yeah, I've made a lot of decisions about it recently, and it's all moving forward again now. So, because I didn't want to rush it. Do you know? There was no point rushing it. Do you know what I mean? I want it to be right, and not just musically. I want the whole package, so to speak, to be right. So yeah, that's definitely going to be out this year. Although things like vinyl production times are still a nightmare. But it is mastered now, and that was the first step to then, I've got all my master copies and stuff come through. So we can move to packaging and manufacturing now, but that's got its own things to get right as well. But yeah, there's going to be some really, really cool, really collectible, exclusive stuff that we're going to be doing, which I'm obviously really, really excited about. I'm really excited about the whole thing, obviously. Still, it's been a long time since I've made one of these videos, but the same things are still developing. And obviously at the same time as that record sort of ready to go and going into the manufacturing phase, I've got my other projects as well, which obviously I'm still doing stuff for. Difficult really, because I want to get the first record out so I can kind of psychologically move past it, if you know what I mean. Where I've got all these other projects on the go that are sort of 3/4 done, half done. But that's the beauty of the freedom of how I'm doing this, really. Do you know what I mean? There are no deadlines as such. It's because I'm kind of doing it myself. But that's obviously where the patrons help so much. Do you know what I mean? Because there's obviously the costs and things are racking up. Even like the recording costs and the mastering costs, and there's going to be manufacturing costs, and we're going to have distributors involved and stuff, and other people. But still, there's still a lot of costs. But that's all, like I say, the sort of magic of all that is the fact that my patrons contribute what they do, and that's enabling me to deal with all these things without having to lose loads of control by going through a major label. Do you know? I mean, I've done all that. I've done all the major label stress. You know, that sort of all the kudos that goes with a major label or whatever. I don't see that as something that's real or tangible anymore. I don't mean for me. I just mean in terms of I'd lose a lot of control if I were to go fully through a big label or even like an independent label. I'd lose a hell of a lot of control. And the sort of free and easy way I'm doing this, you know, it suits me a lot more than being involved with loads of other people who are going to have opinions about what it should be and how it should be released and all these things. Do you know what I mean? I've got a very small group of people who I listen to, take their advice on, and generally follow you know, the sort of guidelines that we're sort of laying out. I've got some great people helping me and advising me, because there's, you know, fair enough, I've been in this industry and done it before, but I'm very young when we did, and again, we had management taking care of everything technical, so you know, there's all sorts of little things that need doing. But yeah, I can't wait till that comes out, honestly. Like, the website's currently being built and stuff, which looks absolutely amazing. I mean, oh God, I cannot wait to like show off the artwork. Fucking insane. Honestly, it's absolutely insane. The whole thing is just magic. So proud of it, so pleased with it. Again, you know, in terms of how we release it, there's a couple of conversations we're having about exactly how to release it, but we're definitely going to be going down the sort of hardcore collectible route first. There's some really cool ideas bouncing around about that. So what else can I say about that then? So yeah, I mean, as a result of those things, my output, like on Dropbox for patrons, that's backed off a little bit. But I mean, as my patrons know, you know, I go through spells of creativity where I'll dump 5 or 6 songs out in, you know, 5 or 6 bloody days sometimes, and then it might be 3 weeks where I'm not doing anything, or it could be a month where nothing comes through. But I really appreciate everyone sticking by me in that regard, and not being, you know, some people could be really arsey about it, do you know what I mean? And like, well, you know, I want more stuff for my money. I do this solely on my own, and I have to rely on my own state of mind as well, do you know what I mean? And it's not, I mean, obviously with my issues or whatever you want to call them, not that I hide behind those at all, but it does dictate that sometimes I'm just not the same person who I was that was writing songs 3 days ago. But then again, in 3 days time, I could very well go back to being that person. So it swings and roundabouts, and winter's always weird for me as well, because my life changes so much. It affects motivation and things and creativity. I just seem to find that all ramps up more in better weather, really. That's what I'm finding. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about the record a lot more as well. You know, like the process of creating it with James Chapman, which was just an absolute dream. The bloke's a genius, I've said it before. You know, it couldn't have worked out better, sort of how we did it, because he effectively kind of co-wrote it with me and produced it as well, and helped with arrangements and things. But you know, I'll talk a lot more about that process, because the whole thing was a learning process for me as well, and kind of how it started wasn't how it ended. Do you know what I mean? I think how the process started, I was quite timid and, oh well, you know, this and that, and then by the end of it, the things that I was sending were a lot more complete and confident. I think, you know, even across all the tracks we've recorded, it tells its own story, and I've even left like the track list in the order that they were written and recorded as well, because that kind of tells its own journey. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about with that, and I'll start making a lot more videos and things when that gets closer to release, because I can sort of just get enthusiastic about that and talk about it, do you know what I mean? Whereas I didn't want to, like I say, just sit here going, it's coming eventually, it's bloody coming, do you know what I mean? People get bored of that or whatever, or I get bored of it, just saying it's coming, just repeating myself. So yeah, what else can I say? Oh, and thank you so much to all my new patrons as well. I always get a little warm, smiley feeling when anyone signs up. Do you know what I mean? Because I thrive on that support, I suppose. I thrive on the positive support of positive, supportive people. So thank you to each and every one of my patrons, and obviously thank you to the new patrons that have signed up too. I really, really appreciate that. What else was I going to say about that? I had something else to say about that. What the hell was it? What was I going to say about that? Oh yeah, anyone who did want to support me through Patreon, the link, the link seems to be quite difficult to find. It's on Podbean. If you go on my page on Podbean, I think it's in the top right. It says support. Does it say support this podcast or Patreon? But I should make that link a bit more visible. But I mean, I don't like to shove it in people's faces. It's kind of there if you want to look for it and find it, which some people do. But I do have a lot of people saying I want to join up and I don't know how to join up. You do it on the Podbean page. If you still can't find it, you message me or whatever, or I'll try and make a more accessible link. I'm shit. I'm shit at tech stuff. You know what I mean? I don't even know if I copy a link right and put it in right. I'm that bad. I had something else to say about that. God, it keeps slipping my mind. Oh yeah, but yeah, anyone who wants to join, I did make like a little video that's attached to it, and that was made before we'd really started it. But yeah, I mean, we do the live streams every Friday night, and sometimes that moves to Sunday or whatever, but they're getting better and better technically. I do a lot of my writing in those, a lot of my idea collation I do in those. It's kind of one of the main parts of it at the moment, and then obviously the ideas that I start in the live streams I then record in Pro Tools and send those out as demos. And that's the only thing that has slowed down with a little bit, probably over the last 2 months, is the amount of demos that I'm putting out. But you have to understand, I have written a hell of a lot of music in a really short space of time. So it can, music and songs, it can get to a point where you're coming up with ideas and you're like, that sounds like that, or that sounds like that, especially when you've done 50 or 60 things in quick succession. So yeah, there has been occasions where I'm like, right, I need to take myself out of this just for 2 weeks and just chill out totally and remove myself from it. Which is, I guess, probably kind of what I've been doing in general. I mean, when this all started, Twitter and listening parties and the music regeneration and all that, it was all very, very intense. And it's leveled out a bit now, but it kind of has to, really. Do you know what I mean? It kind of had to for me. But as I say, it goes in waves. It's all picking back up again. And in terms of patrons who might be watching this thinking, when's the next thing coming in Dropbox? It'll be coming really soon, because you'll probably watch the last live stream, which was fucking ace. Anyone, excuse me, any patrons who've got the latest link for the latest live stream, if you haven't watched it, get on it, man. It's absolutely awesome. Some amazing stuff in there. Sometimes I do the live streams and think, yeah, there's some cool bits in there, but like that was 2 hours of absolute magic. So yeah, that's kind of what Patreon's about. Do you know what I mean? Kind of getting a window into my creative process, and me in general. I can get a little bit free and easy on the live streams in terms of the stuff I talk about, so we have quite a lot of a laugh in that regard. But yeah, I know I always say it, but I couldn't do this without my patrons, and you literally all mean the world to me. And I've learned myself, sort of going through Patreon, and however long I've been doing it now. I don't know how long I've been doing it, over a year. And over that time I've kind of learned things, made sort of mistakes. But that's the whole idea of this, learning on my feet and doing it myself. And I suppose as well, getting used to communicating with more people than just in my bubble, which is something that I've struggled with, do you know what I mean? And it's one reason why I kind of removed myself for the 10 years in the way that I did. Was, I don't know, I just kind of got the impression that I don't play nice with people. you know what I mean? Well, not everyone, but certain personalities. Do you know what I mean? I just don't gel with, and I think that's a lot of the reason that I ended up removing myself from those situations for the period of time that I did, especially when I was so cut up about everything. And that's the best thing about all this, you know what I mean? Letting go of all that bollocks that I held on to for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? The band splitting up and sort of whatever animosity there was there, it's just completely gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, me and Rob now absolutely love the kid. I mean, I've always loved him, don't get me wrong, but you know, I think as detailed in the podcasts, when Rob felt he couldn't do it anymore, that was a difficult thing for me to take, really. But of course, I was only looking at it from my point of view. You know, even when it happened, right through to the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years until we spoke again, really, I was only seeing things from my point of view, which probably is something that I say struggle with, but it's probably a characteristic of mine. But again, I see that as kind of natural, really. I mean, don't get me wrong, I won't say I'm a selfish person, but obviously the first port of call when anything happens is going to be how it affects you. Do you know what I mean? How it impacts you. Which is obviously something that I struggled greatly with over that period of time, and it fed a lot of anger, it fed a lot of negative behaviour, and it fed a lot of restructuring of my character, which is taking some time to break down and readjust, maybe. Do you know what I mean? You're not coming in here, Wasp. I don't think so, bloody hell. Yeah, it reshaped me as a person, all that stuff, and probably not for the best, although it made me a lot harder, you know, emotionally or whatever, a lot more robust. But yeah, it's just been so lovely to be free of all that, really, and remember who I was creatively. And I know I've been over all this sort of stuff, but I know there's new people who are only just discovering the channel, only just discovering the podcasts, what's your problem? Well, there we go, trying to turn itself off. Yeah, there's still new people who are even finding out that we're doing a gig, or 2 gigs or whatever. There's still people who said, oh, I'm not coming to those 2, but I'll come when you do a tour. You're going to be disappointed. Don't know how many times I've got to say it, man. There is these 2 shows. Sure, I want to do more. Maybe the other lads want to do more, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, it is what it is, and it's these 2 shows. And I've got my record and subsequent records beyond that to think about now. It was interesting, really, this morning on my YouTube channel, on I think it was Magic Eye, some very kind person, Magic Eye, one of my older demos, some very, very supportive, kind person said, oh my God, that's horrible. I presume referring to my song, and then rejoicing at the fact that, well, as they perceived it, the music were back together, so I could take my horrible song and forget it and carry on with the music. Sorry to burst your bubble, it's just 2 gigs. And I will be ploughing on with my own music regardless of your feelings that it is horrible. But you know, I have that, I'm going to have that to look forward to, aren't I? Especially being so accessible on social media, people are going to come and tell me exactly what they think of my music, be it positive or negative. I've got to learn to deal with that, man. Do you know what I mean? I've got to learn to deal with that. I believe in it. I'm proud of it. I don't necessarily care what people think, but at the same time, I mean, who goes out of the way to say that? I don't get that. Is that a gobshite? Is that a troll? Oh, that's awful. That's horrible. Oh, thank you. That is growth, though, because fuck me, 10 years ago, I'd just be like, right, give me your address. I know this is just a comment on a YouTube channel. Give me your address. Come on, and postcode. I'm coming to see you. Come on. Not having that. But no, not that bad anymore. This was meant to be a short video, at 25 minutes long. I always do this. What else? I'll try and do a few more. I know I always say this. Try and do a few more. I don't know, I guess I just worry how interested people are or not interested, and I don't want to just be a broken record going, oh, my album's coming. But yeah, I mean, this is like a genuine update, like I say. And yeah, activity will start to pick up now. Especially now I'm out working with Dave as well. That does so much for my mental health, does that. I miss that over winter. I mean, sure, it's nice pottering and doing my own thing and making music as often as I want. But there's something that does me really well about having the structure that I have during the spring and summer and autumn. Even though it's only 2 days a week that I work, it breaks up the week. It gets me out and about. I get inspiration, get out in the fresh air, and then with my days that are spare, that's when I do my sort of writing. Well, yeah, if I think of anything else, I'll do another little video, I guess. I keep meaning to do like more tutorials for people as well. Like loads of people are asking for tutorials, but it's difficult to have that on my mind when all the decisions and stuff's happening with the record and fretting about the music, fretting that everything's going to go right. I mean, that's what I do. I just fret. That is my whole life. But yeah, this video is long enough now. I think I'll leave it there. And probably go home and work on the latest idea I've got, actually. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, it's been, for the people who sort of enjoy these videos anyway, I'm sorry, it's been a long time since I've done one. I'd like to say it won't be a long time until I do the next, but who knows. Although it shouldn't be, because now things moving, there should be a lot more updates, and I need to talk to a few people and work out exactly what I can and can't start saying, really, to not spoil the announcement of the record in a sort of, holistic sense. But yeah, alright, that'll do. Thank you to my patrons. You mean the world to me, honestly. All of you. Right, okay, nice one. Speak to you in a bit.